We'd like to welcome you again to the Let Food Be Thy Medicine broadcast. I'm your host, Lakita McCauley, owner of the Raw Cafe Detroit, nutritional consultant and author of the book, Taking Every Bite Seriously. Today we're going to continue our series in high blood pressure. Before we get started, I want to introduce my co-host, Regina Coleman. Regina is going to be standing by to give us the nutrient compounds that are found in our food that are making it vital for high blood pressure. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to make a tomato basil soup today. The tomato basil soup, the ingredients, we're going to use maybe about a tomato and a half. We're going to use some large tomatoes as well. In addition to that, we're going to use a little bit of fresh basil. We're going to use some onions, let's say about a half an onion. We're going to use about a half a cup of sun-dried tomatoes. In addition to that, we're going to use coconut water because, again, we don't want to infuse water from the public water system that is replete with chlorides into our very, very nutritionally dense soup. So we're going to use coconut water. We're going to use a little bit of extra virgin, first cold-pressed olive oil, organic. We're going to use garlic. Garlic is fabulous for high blood pressure. It has actually blood-thinning properties. And again, as we proceed with this broadcast, we want to remind you that if you have high blood pressure, you want to consult your physician before trying any of these recipes. Again, make sure if you are taking any types of blood thinners like Coumadin or warfarin or Plavix or some of the other ones that we've mentioned in previous broadcasts, that you definitely want to talk to your doctor before preparing these meals, because a lot of the properties in these foods have blood thinning ability or blood thinning properties, specifically garlic, specifically onion as well. Again, potassium, the ability that the Thai coconut has is potassium, and that is essential to regulate blood pressure. We're going to use a little bit of cayenne and a little bit of lemon juice. So we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to place all of the items into our blender, and we're going to kind of layer it a little bit. We're going to start with some of the items, we're going to blend them, and then we're going to add some additional items after that. And then we're going to introduce to you what we call our multi-meal advantage. That means that in raw vegan food, you want to be able to lessen your preparation time as much as possible. And in doing that, you've got to make items that can be translated into other meals. And that's what we're going to do today. So we're going to end up using the tomato soup as the pasta sauce, if you will, for our zucchini pasta. So let's go ahead and get started. We're going to go ahead and apply our tomatoes. We're going to start with we've cut them in quarters, so we're going to start with about 4 quarters. We're going to go ahead and add our fresh basil leaves. We're going to add maybe half of that half of an onion, okay? Okay, and then we're going to add some of our sun-dried tomatoes as well. Remember, tomatoes contain lycopene, and they're also a good source of potassium as well. So we're just going to add a little bit of that. Okay. And we're going to go ahead and add the water of our Thai coconut. Yeah, the sun-dried tomatoes were actually soaked. We soaked them just minimally before we started the session today, and we added them to our mix. You can add them if you desire. You can add them if they're not dry. If they are dry, you can add them. It'll just make your sauce a little thicker, and sometimes that's what we want. So we're going to go ahead and blend. Again, we're going to start our blender on variable. So we're going to take a low speed, and we're going to gradually increase the speed. Okay, wonderful. We're going to add a little bit more of the sun-dried tomatoes because we thinned. Usually when you're doing the Thai coconut water, you want to add the water as needed, because keep in mind that the tomatoes are going to make it a little bit watery. So we want to really be lenient in terms of how we apply the coconut water. So we're going to add a clove of garlic here. We're going to add we've got about a tablespoon of extra virgin olive oil, organic. Okay. We're going to add a little bit of lemon juice. That's about a tablespoon of lemon juice. And then we're going to add what we call Bragg's aminos. This is an unfermented soy, but it gives it the salty taste that we need. So it's about 1/4 of a cup because as you can see, we're making quite a bit of the tomato soup. So we're going to go ahead and blend again. Again, we're going to start low on the variable speed, and we're going to go a little bit faster as we proceed. Now keep in mind that when you're doing a tomato soup, some people like their soup, a little chunky, and some people like it a little watery, if you will. And so you choose the consistency that you desire, the consistency that you enjoy, because you have a power-packed soup to combat high blood pressure. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to go ahead and plate our soup. We can also add, if you want it to be a little bit chunky, and with the cayenne, we're going to just sprinkle just a slight bit over the top here. And we can also apply some tomatoes if we want it to be a little crunchy. So we're going to just add a few. Not going to be too many for the garnish. You can also add a little bit of basil on the top as well. And so now we've got our tomato soup. And we're going to ask Regina if she would try it. We're going to get a spoon.
I have a question.
Absolutely.
When you're making your soups, if you prefer hot soup, what would you do if you want it to be hot?
If you wanted the soup to be hot, it depends upon the type of blender that you're using. If you're using, and I don't want to get into a lot of brand names, but you can use, there are 2 blenders that we use that have the ability to actually heat. And one is, we'll get into it. One is the Health Master. Montel Williams' Health Master has the ability to actually heat the soup. And also the Vitamix blender has the ability to heat the soup. And what you do is just continue to blend it, and the centrifugal force of the motor would eventually cause that soup to heat up. So definitely you can heat the soup. And we're going to go ahead and get a taste on this. You can also have some crackers that you make, some raw vegan dehydrated crackers. That's what we use at the Raw Cafe Detroit on the plate so that you can enjoy your tomato soup optimally. And again, tomatoes contain lycopene as well. So lycopene is very, very good in your battle to have excellent prostate health. So go ahead, Regina.
Try it.
You can go right ahead.
This is good.
It's delish. All right, I'm going to try it myself. Great. It's just the way I like it.
It's delicious cold.
Yeah, it's delicious cold. Absolutely. It's fabulous. It's not too watery. It's a little bit chunky. It's wonderful.
It's perfect.
So again, what we want to do is also show you that this is one meal. But we can also take, I'm going to just kind of clean it up a little bit, but we can also take the leftover tomato soup, and rather than going and creating a marinara sauce, we can actually use the tomato soup that we made. So what we're going to do, we've got some zucchini pasta that we created a spaghetti style pasta using a spiral slicer. And what we're going to do is just pour some of our tomato soup over the top. Now I could add spices, up, a little bit of a spill there. I could add spices to it. I can add a little bit basil, dried basil, or some oregano over the top of it. I can also do what we did with the tomato soup, and we can just have just a few chunkies here, nothing major. But again, absolutely delish. So we're gonna Regina, how about we plate this for our viewers? So there's a plate right in the back there. So we're going to go ahead and plate our dish. And again, we call this the multi-meal advantage. Again, you want to optimize your time when you're preparing healthy foods, and you want to prepare healthy foods that are delicious and are going to be purposeful for the body as well.
Now, how did you make the noodles?
The noodles were created from zucchini, actually, organic zucchini, and we just used a spiral slicer to get that spaghetti-like consistency. So fabulous. So we're just going to go ahead just to show you. Ah, we got a long one there. Oh, okay. So anyway, we're going to go ahead and plate it. We're making a little bit of a mess here, but you get the idea that you can have optimally healthy food at an affordable price that will prevent, that will reverse, and that will manage high blood pressure. So again, we just want to give a little taste on it. Maybe as with all, and you see the spaghetti-like consistency that we have, as with all pastas. So again, we are it's similar to what we are accustomed to having. And again, we say here that life has never tasted so good. So again, you've got tomato soup, a tomato basil soup, fabulous. Your entree then would be your pasta dish. And again, we use the tomato sauce, the tomato soup to double in the multi-meal advantage, remember, as a pasta sauce for your zucchini. So for a copy of this recipe, you can go to the Raw Cafe website at www.therawcafe.com. Again, our web address is www.therawcafe.com. And also, moving forward, we're going to complete our series with some additional recipes on high blood pressure. If you'd like to have specific recipes developed for your condition or a family member or loved one's condition, you can email us at eatconsciously@aol.com. Again, our email address is eatconsciously@aol.com. Yeah, and what we also want you to do is to make sure that you get a copy of our book, Taking Every Bite Seriously. This book is designed so that you actually can restore the knowledge that you have of the power of foods to heal. And so it's graphically laid out, so you can look here and see that we use zucchini for the pasta, and it's great for cardiovascular health. It's great for lowering blood pressure as well, so because it contains potassium. So again, Taking Every Bite Seriously, this is your catalog. This is your tool to not be without when you talk about finding and identifying the foods to heal. So again, thank you for joining us on this particular YouTube video. Tune into our next video where we'll be continuing our series in high blood pressure and then moving into some other areas such as breast cancer, autoimmune conditions as well. So thank you very much for watching, and remember to take every bite seriously. And when you're in the Detroit area, come to the Raw Cafe Detroit, located at 4160 Woodward Avenue. Thanks again.